Hello everybody, and in today's video, I will be officially finishing all the questions from Casey Jr. in the movie. This question is actually going to require a little bit of context. For those of you new viewers, I used to have a series called Casey Jr. The Blue Engine, and it was supposed to parody the Railway series book Edward the Blue Engine, and it was supposed to basically recreates those stories. And I was starting to try and step into newer grounds with that. I started trying to step into newer grounds but I didn't really see a direction it was going in, and I was going to be moving soon. So I decided to cancel the series because I was going to be switching gauges and doing all sorts of different things. And I had a lot of things in mind for what I wanted to do in the future. Sorry for cutting this short, but I'm going to try and keep this video as small as possible. To put it shortly, there wasn't a lot of inspiration taken from the original Casey Jr. The Blue Engine. Not a lot was pulled from that, except maybe Leviathan and York. I don't really think anything there was really pulled from the original series. I would love to do a remake of the 1941 film's opening again, but I really doubt I'm going to be able to do any of that. So I might have to come up with something else or think somewhat out of the box if I ever decide to do a remake. I might do a short video, but you guys don't seem to like a lot of the short videos as much. So I don't know. I'll have to see where this goes from there. I'll just have to see what I can do. I don't really think I can, because how stubborn YouTube is. I don't really think I'm going to be able to do that. But I won't say there isn't half a chance. None of them were at all easy to make, and they're all painful in their own ways. If you had to ask me who is the most fun, I'm not really sure. I would have to say maybe Casey Jr. and his circus train, or the 440 Express locomotive and its passenger train. Like I said before, I don't think I'll be doing any sort of sequel or anything. I think I might just do a full version of the movie, and I might just call it that. I don't really think I'll do any sort of prequel. My favorite character for this movie was definitely 237. For those of you who don't know, 237's number is a reference to the movie The Shining. I like that the number is not just a reference, and it symbolizes the character heavily. The whole point of room 237 is that you didn't understand its backstory.
Mr. Allen, what is in room 237?
Same thing kind of goes for the character. You don't understand where he's from, you don't know why he's such a mopey jerk, and you don't understand why on earth he decided to randomly disappear. Like I said before, Casey Jr. is based off the Ernest S. Marsh. The reason I based him off a narrow gauge engine and not a standard gauge engine is because I wanted him to be a lot smaller. Because obviously in the movie he is a very squashed looking engine. Like Tender's really small, Casey overall just looks really small. I just wanted to choose a very small looking engine. That, and it has a very large tie-in with the Disneyland park, all that stuff. I think I strongly believe that Casey Jr. is based off of the Montezuma, which was an engine used for inspiration of Disneyland Railroad number 4, the Ernest S. Marsh. And I have a feeling Ward Kimball had suggested this because he had previously used the Montezuma as reference for Casey when he had animated Dumbo.
But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory.
Well, you see, about him, he got... Casey Jr. version 1 was a modified Bachmann 040 with the front pilot truck extended and all that nonsense, but unfortunately had stereotypical Bachmann problem number 1. On top of that, it struggled fairly frequently with heavier trains, so I decided to replace it with a Rivarossi 040 and simply just extended the truck, did the exact same thing, and overall it performed a lot better than the previous one. In Chapter 1, the engine was either pulled by a piece of string or towed around by this. This is Box. Box was arrested for identity theft, so I can no longer talk about Box, and I legally cannot talk about Box in this video. His execution was well deserved. First off, I'm going to personally congratulate you, sir. You pointed out something I didn't think anyone would point out. 804 purposely has the SCP number on the side of his cab in concept art because that was supposed to symbolize how much of an insecure character he had grown to. SCP-096 is the shyest of the SCPs, but I figured no one is going to notice that reference, no one's going to understand that reference, so just remove it. Also, very quickly, going to talk about Casey Jr.'s concept art. Originally, he was supposed to be red, but I decided to keep him black to pay further homage to the original. I decided to originally he was supposed to be an 040 when he first started at the mining company. And then when he got moved to the circus, he was converted to a 240. And then that was supposed to be a reason that 804 didn't recognize him because he physically looked different. Originally, 804 was just supposed to be in a very disheveled, dirty sort of looking engine. He wasn't supposed to have any sort of backstory, and that was the only reason Casey was supposed to sympathize. But I felt like the audience needed a deeper reasoning to sympathize with this character. So then I decided to write the whole military bullying him backstory so the audience would further sympathize for him. The idea of 804 being blind was actually pulled from the Helltaker character Justice. And Casey's wheel arrangement being changed from 040 to 240 was also supposed to be a reference to the Ernest S. Marsh. Because the engine was originally, when it was a part of the plantation, it was an 040. And then when it got moved to the Disneyland Park, it was converted to a 240. Okay, this one's a joke, right? Where were the British vibes in this? This is America. I wanted to keep this very Disney. There's no death. There's no death unless you're the parents. Then you just kill them whenever. I don't really know if I have much of a trick or anything for N scale really. If I had to mention one thing really quickly, I guess I would say maybe use printed buildings a little bit. Printed buildings, you don't really have to cut out the windows because it's the gauge is so small, you don't really notice the windows are cut out from any sort of distance. And they tend to blend in a lot better with the other buildings around your layout. So I would say maybe print a couple buildings if you're ever on a tight budget. I think I mainly just shoved Red Dead's canon into this because, well, my railroad is based off Red Dead Redemption. So I've wanted to base my model railway off of Red Dead Redemption because you don't really see people who do that too often. Usually it's based off some sort of movie or maybe some sort of take on a different railroad, sometimes freelancing it. You rarely see people base something off of a video game. And I wanted to try and do something unique with my model railroad. Guys, this is Florida vandalism, isn't it? Well, what was I talking about again? Oh yeah, the Casey Jones engine. The first Casey Jones engine was basically a Bachmann 119. Simply just cut off the front and just simply changed the smokestack and then there's nothing else really much changed there. There was one trick that was used in the film. I don't remember if I mentioned this. The front side, the side of the locomotive is actually, the other side of the locomotive is not painted. The other side is simply 237 on one side, and on the other side, when it's flipped around, it could be doubled as the Casey Jones locomotive, which is why we never look at the locomotive from the opposite side. You can kind of see it in a couple of shots, but overall it's just blocked and you can't really see the opposite side of the locomotive. Usually I don't have too many contact issues, apart from maybe the usual stopping on points sort of thing that model trains usually do. Overall, I just don't get a lot of problems. And I'm going to put that down to my own carelessness because I didn't glue any of my tracks down. And as a result, a lot of my track has buckled and bended. So do not just glue your tracks down, guys. Yes! Let me tell you something, guys. Filming with those paper faces was absolute agony. I lost literally everything. I lost eyes, mouths. I kept losing pieces. And I think there's one shot in chapter 2 where Casey's pulling out of the rail yard and one of his eyes is very obviously not the same size because I lost the other eye and I had to make another one really quickly. It was just absolute agony. Okay, this question seems... Okay, this one's really, really random. All the other ones seem kind of cohesive, but this one's really off. I don't know. I would have to say my favorite American engine is definitely the Shays. And I know it's going to be a very kind of controversial, unpopular opinion. But I just love the way the Shays look. And it's impressive how many of those dudes are in preservation. Like, the way they look is so interesting. The way they sound is so interesting. Just there's something just so interesting about the way Shays work that make them so appealing as a locomotive. I don't know. I feel like if I tried any of the other ones, like, I feel like I wouldn't feel as patriotic about it. Like, maybe, I don't know. One of my favorite Australian locomotives is definitely the D6, D3, D3. That's the one I'm thinking of. I like the way those guys look. They look very elegant looking. There's only two in the movie. But more I think about it, how many Casey Jr. models have I had? I had let's see, there's the two in the movie. I did have a model of the an N-scale model of the 2019 model, but that got converted to 237. There was I did have an HO scale 30, the 2019 one. I had a 1941 HO scale version that you rarely saw that one. Any new viewers probably don't know what that looks like. There was I feel like I'm missing one. I think there's 5. I think that's 5, isn't it? I've had a total of 5 different Casey Jr. models, or 6, 7, 8 if you want to count my Lego models, but I don't really technically count those as models. Legos are kind of just toys. I think I just love N scale. I don't really think I'd want to go back to HO really. If I have debated a couple times starting like O and 30 or O gauge a couple times, but I don't really think I'll ever. I might go back to HO, but I don't really think I will. I think I'm fairly content with N scale. This has some what about noodles? I don't really know if I'll have the space to add longer trains. I might, but I probably wouldn't go no longer than 10 cars because I believe only the trains in Red Dead Redemption only have 10, 11 cars. So I don't really know if I'll ever make longer trains. I forget who asked this question. Sorry, I've lost your name. They asked if I would ever do the first Red Dead Redemption 460 from the first game. I doubt I ever will for budget reasons and obviously canon reasons, but I don't really know. I have another. Actually, I'm gonna stop what I'm saying right there because I'm not gonna give you guys any spoilers.